Here we go. Let's get back right to it. Let's not mess around. Welcome back to EUCL. Deathrow, Mnm is our next series tonight, our upper bracket final. Ready and waiting for us to tuck into. My name's Ian Chambers, joined on the analyst desk by Demo and X, my UK brothers, I'm going to call you. There we have it. Hellraisers. Let's start by looking back. They progressed to our lower bracket final. Sadly, we see Totem drop out of the tournament. What's your instant reaction to it? Because I know that you didn't have that much faith in Hellraisers coming into this demo.
Yeah, hopes were high. I think from how they played throughout the competition, I don't think they gave us a good reason why they would be considered the favourites in that match. I think Totem gave us a lot more to really dig into and say, yeah, this is why they look better in this matchup. So, but it's CL. I think predictions that haven't been the greatest for everyone. You know, nobody's got everything right. I think it's just how this tournament's went. It's been very, very unpredictable, and I'm glad it is. I'm glad it's keeping us on our toes.
Yeah, let's take a look at our predictions, actually. If we've got the predictions graphic ready to fire off, here it is. Ollie, 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 look at you. Been proven right. Out of all of us, you were the only, except for our socials, apparently, who went with you there. What was it about this team that gave you confidence?
It's funny that, isn't it? It's,
don't even try and sound smart.
Karma,
you did not mean to put that. That was a fatal accident.
Karma really does come back to bite you. I think I was... Demo basically said, you can put my predictions in for me, please. I'm busy. I've got a different document up. And I put in Hellraisers for Demo, and it's actually come through as Hellraisers for me. So...
Wow.
I'm a winner.
You can have that.
I can have it for free.
Do you think, though, after their performance, that they well and truly deserve to be going through?
I think after the way that they played against Reply, especially in those last couple of maps, because don't forget, to get 7-1'd and then to be able to come back, it's a massive swing.
Thanks a lot. You don't see that all too often. You don't.
Not a reverse sweep in that fashion.
Yeah.
It's usually a closer series if it's going to be a reverse sweep.
Yeah, absolutely. Did Totem bottle it, do you think? Come on. Look, we don't want to, throw a sand in... I don't know what the saying is. Have you got a saying?
In the face?
Yeah, let's go with that. I don't want to throw a sand in your face, Totem, and kick you while you're down, but... They have got a bit of a tendency to not clutch. The
opportunity was there. That's the biggest thing. Yeah. You had the opportunity, and you didn't take it. That's all we're going to say on that.
All right, good stuff. Let's take a look now at the bracket now and see exactly what things look like going into our massive upper bracket final. As you can see, Hellraisers make it right there to our lower bracket final. They will meet the loser of Deathrow versus Mnm Gaming. But more importantly than that, the winner of Deathrow versus Mnm will make it into our Challenger League Grand Final in December. So let's not get it twisted. Yeah, it's great. This upper bracket final is wonderful because even the loser gets another shot. But you want to be going through, D. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the upper bracket is you have essentially 2 chances to get into the grand final. That's what you've got right now. You've got 2 chances, similar to how we talk about you have 2 chances of EUL if you get into those finals. So, yeah, you want to make sure you're there, but even if you don't, you know you're always going to have that extra chance, which is going to be great for your mentality.
Yeah, and Ollie, just for anybody who maybe doesn't fully understand the format, if you make it through to the grand final, you get 2 opportunities, right?
Exactly, yeah. And then you've got 2 opportunities still now. So, like, these 2 teams, Mnm and Deathrow, are in the best possible position right now. We could still be sat in a situation inside of December where these are the 2 teams that are going up for the relegation matches to get inside of EU. So, It's not a bad position to be in.
All right, let's talk about Deathrow first. Let's start getting into previewing this upper bracket final. If you look at this roster, Demo, how Deathrow have played, they've looked good. You know, expectations went exactly massively high for them, and they've gone above and beyond.
Yeah, I want to see more. I think that's probably the biggest thing for me in Deathrow is I want to see more. They've only played 2 matches.
Yeah.
One of them was a very close game against 86, fair enough, but, 86, they didn't make it into top 4. They went then up against Hellraisers. Hellraisers were sleeping on the job, I think, whenever they went into that game. So I don't think Deathrow has had a big challenge. That's the thing for me with Deathrow. I don't think we've really seen them be pushed to the boundaries.
This is it, though, isn't it?
This is where they're going to get pushed.
Do you think they've been overachievers up until this point, Ollie?
I think they may be that team that has flown under the radar a little bit and maybe not been given the toughest the toughest games possible.
Yeah.
We've only seen them play 2 games inside of this bracket so far, so we haven't really get to see a lot of them. Our focus really up until this point has mainly been on that lower bracket and the fantastic runs that we've seen teams make through there. Now it's time for Deathrow to really prove themselves, I feel. They're going up against tough opponents tonight. It's not going to be an easy game against Mnm. It's going to be the toughest game that they've had so far.
Yeah.
This is where we really see them get pushed. This is where we see how far they can take it.
Just briefly, though, to say that, you know, we've said we haven't seen them play for a while now. So far, we've only seen them play and beat Hellraisers, who, by the way, have proven themselves to be formidable opponents because they are now waiting for them in the lower bracket final. They played and beat 86, who were eliminated last week. But like you've said, you know, there's no question that this is the toughest challenge they've had up until this point in the tournament.
Yeah, they're against a well-organised side. Hopefully we'll be able to touch on Mnm a little bit later. But, I mean, there's still some good things going for Deathrow. I think Jax is someone that obviously me and you highlighted, Ollie. You kind of throw Fuse in the mix, who has been great with the entry. So, you know, they do have standout players. But like I said, it's just, how are they going to do against a well-oiled machine? It's just a question mark for me. I know they have the potential because they're a very young side, have definitely broke expectations. But let's see what they can do.
Should we take a look at this well-oiled machine that you are alluding to? Mnm Gaming. Let's take a look, right, guys? The hopes of a nation rest on these 5 players now. Ollie, the last UK org left standing.
They really are, and there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on this game tonight. I think, especially after we saw Viperio bow out last play day, this is where a lot of people are looking for a little bit of salvation. There's going to be a lot of eyes on this game. It's not as a UK roster as we're used to seeing with an Mnm team. You know, we've only got 2 UK players inside of it, but again, UK org, UK coach, it still gets a lot of love inside of the UK, and I think that that's why we're going to see it heavily back tonight.
A lot of fans backing them, Demo.
Yeah, I think whenever we see the social vote, I would say it would be quite heavy towards Mnm. I think everyone has this expectation of Mnm. You know, you look at them where they were last year, you know, very, very close. You know, they touch greatness, Ian, but that close, but just didn't happen for them. And now they're back. The only remaining member is Useless. Everyone else was poached into, you know, professional teams, and now he's had to kind of rebuild and bring in all these different players from, you know, different walks of life. You know, you've got Nello coming in, you've got Tyrant, who you've seen in the UK, seen Solotov comes in from GSA, you've got Neo again, another prospect from the UK. You're bringing all these different elements, and right now it's cooking for them.
Well, you mentioned Useless there. We've got to talk about him, Ollie. Like, have we ever seen stupid numbers like this in CL before?
It's unbelievable, isn't it? You know, we highlighted him on the sofa section that we were doing earlier, and it'd be unfair to not highlight him again now inside of this pre-game. Useless is that player. He is that impact player, and it's strange that we often find teams that will try and single somebody out on, and it can be a little bit hit and miss. But throughout the whole competition so far, the consistency has been there for Useless, and that's the key thing there. It's activated by the team. It isn't just a one-man band. It is a team that really does band together, and you can visibly see the support that he's able to get from his teammates.
I think the biggest characteristic from Mnm was, sure, they go into the first game of the season in the playoffs against Ascend, and, you know, we mentioned that Useless was going to be a standout, and Useless was, you know, massive standout, really pulled them through, and Nello, I think, as well, had a great performance. We then get to the second matchup, and this was, you know, obviously against Totem. This was the kind of game where Useless was there, he was still there, but he couldn't do it all by himself. Yeah. He's only one guy at the end of the day, and then that's where we start seeing Solotov make moves. We start seeing Neo with impeccable performances. Tyrant, again, consistency from him has been second to none. Everyone stepped up in that Totem game, so the whole worries of, oh, they're just a BDS, oh, they're a one-man show, oh, it's just one guy and that's it. No, that's gone because they proved that against Totem.
What a roster. Let's take a look now at our map picks going into our upper bracket final. Ollie.
Oh, we get a bit of Cafe. We really haven't seen too much Cafe, have we? It's not been a popular map at all. It's a strange map there for Mnm to kick things off on.
I think that's been held for quite a while for Mnm.
I think there's a chance that they're really bringing out the big guns here, and they want that nice, clean, easy route through that upper bracket. They don't want to take any chances here. Coastline as Deathrow's pick. I mean, what is that going to be?
I mean, everyone can play Coast, though. That's the only thing.
Everyone can play Coast, but you talk about individuals. You talk about the way that we saw Mnm rally against Totem. They were able to individually pop off round after round after round, and Coastline can be
Coastline's a map for hero plays.
It is.
And I've just mentioned about Mnm, and then you look at the decider, Chalet. You know, what a story that Chalet has had with Mnm. You know, the comeback kings on that map. So It's difficult. I mean, Coastline can definitely swing either which way. I mean, Cafe is the question mark because, you know, Mnm have definitely held this. You know, it's not a map that we see them play really at all. So it's interesting map ban, definitely is.
I do not want to sound too biased, but judging by your analysis there, I feel like we'd be hard-pressed to bet against Mnm here, but you can never predict what goes down here in EUCL. Do not write off this amazing Deathrow team. Let's get stuck into this. We are going to map 1 of our upper bracket final. This is who's going to step up to the plate? Who's going to take that first step towards our grand final in December? We are crossing over to our golden caster desk with our Dutch duo and an Anthox to find out.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chambers. And indeed, we are going to Mnm versus Deathrow, and that concludes the upper bracket, right?
Yeah, that's weird to think that the upper bracket's already done. I mean, after this game, we will find our first finalist that will compete for that EUL spot. That is really exciting. All teams have everything to play for. I mean, if you lose this match, it's not all over. You still have an extra chance, but it's really nice to not have to play that extra match and just be victorious here.
Exactly. After today, one of the teams gets a little bit of a break. We'll see them later on in December, but at least they get to wind down and chill a bit. But before that, they have to survive Cafe, Coast, and potentially also Chalet if we go to the full 3 maps. And
yeah, and I'm going to be very honest, I wasn't really expecting Cafe to be picked as one of the maps that we're going to go through today. I think it's interesting though. I'm really looking forward to see what both teams will do. We'll have Deathrow starting on the fence, meaning that they also get to pick their first attacking ban. The first attacking ban is going to be a Thatcher, and that's no surprise to everyone, I would reckon, because the Thatcher is still one of the most banned operators within any league, really. Mnm do not want to wait a single second longer, so they are really quick on picking their second ban, or their first ban and second attacking ban. That's going to be a Maverick.
so Cafe indeed. And do you reckon that Mnm Gaming held some cards against their chest?
Might be. In the previous game that they played, I think it was against Ascent, they had this map selected as a possible third map. However, they closed it out on 2 maps, so they didn't need to go to this map. We have not seen this map been played by Deathrow in recent history, so that's going to be very interesting. Looking at the continuation of this ban phase, we see Vamai being banned, which makes a lot of sense, because Vamai is really difficult to deal with when it comes to holding down onto Pixel. You can just keep on tossing those magnets behind couches, behind minibars, and it's going to make it really difficult to clear out Pixel. So I'm looking forward to see that one banned, and taking control over Pixel should be a lot easier with this. And what a surprise, we have a Velk as our final ban. She is still the operator with the highest ban rate in European Challenger League so far, so that's no surprise at all.
I don't think it will change. We'll see that changed anytime soon either. I think she's been banned so many times that she'll most likely won't lose that winning, or you can also call it a losing spot, right? You don't want to be the one continuously being banned. Interesting setup here when we see the Vigil, the Rooney, the Goyo, the Mute, and the Malusi. And we're going to the kitchen hold. It's an objective that we see held quite frequently, but sometimes teams like to start things off on, for example, library.
Yeah, exactly. It's different sites here. Definitely, of course, you have the upstairs as well. You have those middle floor with 2 different sites. This one definitely being played quite often. Look at the amount of C4s that we have on the side of Deathrow. There's 2 C4s to impact a bulletproof camera, which makes a lot of sense because you need that information coming from some other kind of utility since you don't have that Velk to rely on. Obviously, you have the default cameras, but they can get shot down by attackers. They also have the Vigil. That, to me, says that they might go for a heavy roam. To have a player on that top floor could potentially go for a peek through the windows or just hold off top floor. Because ideally, as Mnm, you want to gain that top floor control. You want to be able to make lines. Look at this. We see Adriano go for a spawn peek. That was not successful, had that window fully open. So obviously a really good sign to Mnm that they were spawn peeking in there. But as Mnm, you want to get the top floor control. You want to make those vertical lines aside with that sledge so you can peek on into the site.
And I really like that Adriano tries to go for, quite some aggression here. It's kind of what's being revealed here right now is that if you look at Deathrow's setup, I think they really want to go for that aggression here, Anne, and it only makes sense. Oh, it's this Vigil that gets kind of mis-droned here. Of course, it's a Vigil, so it's hard to drone. Doesn't shoot the Iana replicator on purpose. The reason being is that he probably knows that that's an Iana replicator, so if he were to shoot that, then he would have revealed his position. Saw that the second player dropped right behind the Iana replicator, so kind of knew to ignore that Gemini, that replicator, and then just go for the kill. So good opening kill here from Fusion to set up and kick off things in the upper bracket final.
Yeah, and definitely, if you have that Vigil gadget on, you're still hidden from Yana Replicator, so it made no sense to absolutely shoot that. That's exactly what Fusion didn't do. To pick out that Finka, very great pick here coming out from them, because that's the nade, denial, and that extra healing boost coming out for the attackers that they won't have in this round anymore. And now that we've played 1.5 minutes into this round, it seems that Mnm so far has only gained that very top floor control. They need to start working their way towards the middle floor to get those vertical lines of sight, because if you don't do that in time, you're going to find yourself running out of time. That's exactly what the Zofia is doing right now, making those vertical lines aside, making those rotates for the attackers to play around with above quite freely. And I see two pre-placed C4s actually.
That's quite some pre-placed C4s. We see that Mnm Gaming is slowly using their utility to open those vertical lines of sight that you were mentioning earlier, and it becomes quite easy, of course, if you bring that sledge with you. It is still the man advantage here for Deathrow. We haven't seen any damage being dealt after that initial gunfight, and it's now Nilo with the kill on Jax, and equaling things here, 4 versus 4.
Yeah, that's really good, because that was the other pre-placed C4 they still had left on the board, so no more damage coming from that downstairs then. Nade's being tossed in now by users as well, still making more of these lines of sight above, but looking as they also have to go and deal with quite some players horizontally, as I still saw someone around VIP. I think that is Adriano, still off-site. Fusion really close, but gets taken down by Neo. Now the advantage definitely in the hands of Mnm. Adriano still finds himself around VIP. Nello initiated a diffuser real quickly, but is continuing it right now. Rikus falls to the gun of Neo. We're in a 4-2 situation. Neo's being taken down as well. It's Tywin with the last kill, and a very convincing first round coming out from Mnm.
Yeah, definitely, and this is the strengths of Mnm. You know that they play a really good siege. You know that they play in really good positions to go for potential refrags, and you know, we saw the diffuser going down, and I wasn't sure whether the coverage was there, but you saw those vertical angles that you mentioned earlier, and that's what won them the round here. They're now going to reading room, fireplace hall, that being Deathrow. They don't really trust their initial defense of kitchen anymore. Really well played by Mnm Gaming. Good start by Deathrow, but they were unable to close out that first round.
Yeah, it was just that kind of typical or standard siege that we do see coming out from Mnm more often. Take control of top floor, take control of the middle floor, get the vertical lines aside, and that really worked out well for them. Despite having the entry death on their side, it was Solotov to fall first due to that well-played situation by Fusion with the Vigil above, and still with them having the opening death on their side, they managed to win that round out successfully. However, I'm looking forward to see Solotov do a little more in this round, obviously with the potential of the nades and those Finka boosts that he can use later on into the round. Now that we're going for a middle floor defense, it seems like there's quite some utility, and especially a lot of reinforcements being invested into this top floor. On the middle floor, there's not too much that you need or want to reinforce, so having that solid top floor control can waste a lot of time.
Definitely. See that they're still busy with their setup up top, and so really investing a lot of time for to get things right over here. It is this wall into bathroom that's currently not charged, so you could open that up. However, you might be met with a surprise. Surprise being that, of course, from the White Hall into bathroom is also reinforced off. It is Fusion playing it very aggressive here on Cigar, hoping for easy first frag, but up until now there's not really anything that's happening, and he's still there, still waiting for some pressure. Now gets one of the drones. Can just kind of sit back and relax in Cigar, you can say.
Yeah, that's 2 drones really quickly gone in the hands of Mnm, looking as they only have 7 drones left, with 2 minutes left to play. There's some information, though, coming out on where Fusion might be, but not enough to actually push him and force him out of that situation. We find Solotov on top of the red stairs. Tyrant has a really good flank drone all the way downstairs, so they don't have to worry about where these players are going to be coming from. Rikus to take a little bit of damage, not sure where that was coming from specifically, but he still is able to hold on. A player still upstairs in freezer. They really boxed him in, and it's Rikus to go injured now. Still not sure where that came from, but he's on the middle floor, so there must be a defender at close range to pick him up. But Jax get injured and taken out by Solotov as well, and Nate and a gunfight won there. So that's a really good advantage coming out for the side of Mnm.
Indeed, it's a 3 versus 5 situation now in the advantage of Mnm Gaming. We see that Fusion is back on site. Neox, however, still on the top floor together with Adriano. So only one player on the side of Deathrow is currently on site. Question is, does Mnm read this? Do they know that there's only one player on site currently? They are currently droning, which is good news for Mnm Gaming, because as soon as they get that info, they can start making their way into site. However, it seems like they might still want to clear those top floor defenders. They're still working on it. Now trying to open the pillar wall over here. It's of course important to get a line of sight into reading, and they're working on it then.
And the fact that you have this man advantage just gives the opportunity for Tyrant to solemnly hold that flank hold. You have the big man advantage with 2 more players on your side, so you could allow him to hold that flank. Use it to pick up a kill onto Adriano, so now it's a 2-5. Fusion needs to watch out for that nade. Gets taken down by Tyrant. Refrag coming out on Nello here, but it's Neo to pick up an immediate refrag once again. And another round coming out for Mnm. They seem really strong on their attacks on Cafe so far.
Definitely very solid here by Mnm Gaming. It is also the reading room hold that's not successful here for Deathrow. Question is, what is the next site they're going for? Are you going back to your first site? Are you going back to a tertiary bomb site? Seems like they are putting their money back on that first site. Kitchen service and kitchen cooking. And if we look at the setup, and there's no big differences, maybe that castle pick. However, I'm not sure whether that will stay like that.
It's the castle's curse. Just as you were going to say it, there's this nice little icon appearing on the top left of that operator card, indicating that the operator is going to 6-pick to the mute. Some information denial coming out.
They picked a Flores, and the reason they picked a Flores was probably because of the castle. They of course also can deal with the Goyo shields. However, there's now also a mute in place, so that makes the Flores a little bit harder to use. But that Flores was probably used because they saw a castle. Thought, okay, makes it a little bit easier to clear a potential castle here.
Yeah, that means they're picking off the Finka. Seeing Solotov's performance so far, it was quite mixed. In the first round, he found himself being the entry death. And in the second round, he was able to pick up 2 kills. Opening kills for him on that side with a nade and his gun there. So him going onto the floors, I'm curious to see what he'll do with that. Definitely indeed good to deal with the utility coming out on the side of Deathrow, because last round they picked that Goyo as well. What they did is they had that kind of box reinforced upstairs to keep a player safe with that Goyo shield. So being able to deal with that utility on the top floor and the middle floor will make site control and upstairs control a lot easier. Pre-fires coming out on the window, Fusion to sit still there quite safely. Still on that top floor like we saw him last time, waiting for players to start rappelling. Solotov will do so now, and I hope he is aware of that top floor window. Otherwise, this might be very painful.
It is currently still Mnm Gaming in the lead, and we see that same Gemini replicator trying to clear the top floor with. Rikus playing it very aggressively here, and does get one of the drones, and that gives the cue to Mnm Gaming that there was indeed a person on the red stairs. Rikus still on that red stairs, but he has forfeited a little bit closer to site. Does take a lot of damage. Takes about 70 damage to be exact. However, makes it out alive and did waste, I would say, about 30 seconds.
Yeah, there's still 2 players waiting on top of that hatch. Fusion's now repositioned himself. Perfect timing with the gadgets come in, so he won't be spotted on that drone. This is like a stare down. The drone just waiting for the gadget to be done, but it's Fusion to pick off that drone. Now repositions around this 90 hallway downstairs. Adriano finds Solotov, but it's Solotov to come out on the top right hand of that, finding the opening kill once again in this round as Adriano falls 0-3 so far, so not a solid performance coming from him this far.
No, definitely add to that Jax and Rikus also have yet to find a kill, and just as I say that, it is Jax who finds a kill on Tyrant. That's good by getting a refrag here. We see that both Jax and the Vigil have now resorted back to site, and that's really good. Because look at Mnm Gaming, they're still looking for any potential roamers. They're still wasting their time, not knowing that both players have already retreated. So they're wasting a lot of time here. Is however, Solotov, who's trying to clear this VIP section, has to deal with a Goyo though, being Jax.
And Jax doesn't seem to be afraid to peek there, so he shoots down one of those RCE rotator charges. However, this one will probably get the shield, and that means that he needs to step away. Otherwise, his toes might be getting burned, and that's not what you want to have. So, finds himself in VIP situation still, as this player's now working on that top 4 control. Looking at the C4 situation, still 2 C4s in the pockets of Neox as well as 1 in Jax. So that's a lot of damage that they can do still downstairs. We find Neox right underneath the Snatch that is making these vertical lines aside, but 20 seconds left on the clock. What are they gonna do now?
Yeah, Nilo has already dropped in the freezer, but he knows that he can't just go for the plant here. Does get the kill on Jax, and that's huge because that means that it opens up sight for him. It opens up a possibility for him to get the defuse down. Solotov now on a very, very good angle to give him coverage. Does also win the gunfight against Fusion. Nello does take a little bit of damage, but gets the defuse down, and that means that this round will likely go to Mnm Gaming. It's up to Neox now. He has to clutch a 1 versus 3, but he can't. It's Nilo who shuts him down.
Well, another solid round coming out. I was getting a little bit scared for Mnm when I saw the timer tick down further and further. They looked to be even slower this time, taking that top 4 control. 1 minute was over and they were still sitting on the hatch with 2 players, only getting those verticals done with a minute left on the clock.
That kill by Solotov, that was on the Goyo, on Jax. That's what won him around. If he didn't get that kill, then the Hibana wouldn't be able to get the defuse down. I see a black screen. I hope people at home might see something different. I think we're going to a little technical timeout.
Yeah, Dark, it's looking for Deathrow for sure, having lost already 3 of their defensive rounds. Still some players on their side not being able to pick up a single kill so far, and still looking back at that previous round, once again it took Mnm so long to gain that top 4 control. Within a minute they were making those vertical lines of sight with 20 seconds left on the clock. They had to drop, go for that defuse. It was Nello to pick the same kind of spot to get that diffuser down, but really good cover coming out from his teammates as they were able to pick off all these players that were basically throwing themselves onto Mnm. It really seemed like there was a lot of panic, even though those last few seconds really seemed to go your way as a defender, but they just seemed to panic. It was a 2v4 at some point, and they literally threw their bodies at the players of Mnm who were waiting.
And the crazy thing is that round number 1 and round number 3, Mnm Gaming has gotten the defuse down with less than 15 seconds remaining. So you just need to find a way to stall him for those extra 15 seconds. Bring a smoke, as Fusion just did. Bring maybe more C4s, as Rikers and Jax just did. You just need an additional 15 seconds. Mnm Gaming, really good at stalling, but also really good at executing in those final dying seconds.
Solotov just dropped the red hatch, being thrown in by his teammate. Also making sure he doesn't get flanked from downstairs. And once again, we see those flank drones being set up. Look at that. Just a second ago, we had 4 players of Mnm on their drones, getting that information, setting up those flank drones just to make sure that players won't get them from behind. Neo, a little bit of a tap onto the white stairs, will now rappel up onto the south side of the building here. Opens up the window, opens up the Surya gate there, and Rikers to take a lot of damage. Only with a slit of HP, he'll find himself behind probably one of those mirror windows or on top of the white stairs.
Oh, Solotov about to get C4'd here, but Solotov just a little bit too quick. It is, however, Fusion with the opening kill on Neo, and that's an important operator to get off the board because that's one of the 2 soft destructors. And as we can see, and there's 4 reinforcements remaining in the pockets of Deathrow. So that means that there's a lot of walls that you can self-destruct.
Ooh, player close to the freezer. I thought for a second that his head was visible, but that was not the case. They still have this mirror window all the way around freezer, so a lot of long lines aside that they can hold. But Tyron's on a solo mission, walking his way up the brown stairs to peek. Maestro Bar peek the new hatch, potentially get an easy kill, but Jax also still on this middle fort. If they know about his position, they might be able to take him down real quickly. Might be unknown of the position of the Yan, and that is indeed the case here. Tyron to pick up a very easy kill onto Jax. And now we're looking back at a 4-4 man count. Rikers, however, still on very low HP. And a little bit of a cuff on him would be the end of him.
Jax had no reason to be sprinting over there. really didn't have any reason to be sprinting over there. There's, however, only 33 seconds remaining. We know that this is the time period in which Mnm shines. They are about to go for an execute. Uses will repel in here to Terrace, however gets smoked off, and finally it's Deathrow who brings some form of a delay of game. However, both Solitov and Tyrant go pretty big. Both are able to pick up a kill, and now it's all up to Fusion here to kind of stop the plan from going down here. But no, both Juices and Solitov are able to pick up the scraps, and my goodness, Mnm shines. They really shine when it comes to those dying seconds, Anne.
Yeah, I do love to see their last seconds round playing out here, as we do saw Juices rippling into Heaven Window. He was on a off angle on top of that minibar, being able to pick up players that were just sprinting past, going for that counter diffuse, or to stop the player that was going for the diffuser. Just a really good teamwork coming out, as we see time and time again for Mnm. And it's no surprise to me that Deathrow is calling a tactical timeout, because there seems to be nothing that they can do to stop Mnm in their power run so far.
It almost looks like this timeout lasts longer than the past 4 rounds. It's gone by so quick. Mnm storming through the defense of Deathrow. And how is it possible that I mean, if you go for such a late execute, you gamble 4 times. Because you're the person that gets the defuse down only has to be killed once, and you're already in a little bit of a pickle. How is it possible that they gamble 4 times and that they just get the defuse down? You know what I think it is? I think I'm calling it a gamble, but I don't think it's gambling. I think Mnm is just so solid. They've got such good coverage of each other that it's not even a gamble. It's a guarantee that they get the defuse down.
Yeah, it's a typical kind of seats that we do see coming out time and time again. Just make sure you have your flank drone set up. Make sure you drone your players in properly. Gain that map control bit by bit. At some point in that previous round, we saw 4 players of Mnm being set on their drones, making sure they won't get flanked from downstairs. We did see Tyrant just going on a solo mission on that middle floor, finding Jax, eliminating one of the C floor players on the side of Deathrow, and that basically allows him to go onto the side. It's like this kind of list that they keep on ticking off. Player, drone your main fraggers into the side, tick. Make sure there's no player underneath to go for a C4, tick. Make sure you get the off angle so you cover your plan successfully, tick. And this is how they keep on winning out their rounds. They also got the diffuser down indeed, like you said, and then just a really good post-plan position coming out. It isn't bad that they're using these last few seconds of the round to get the execute going on. Though, however, with the fact that Mnm banned FMI, making it much easier, or this should make it much easier to deal with utility, would expect for them to deal with utility faster. But I think it's not necessarily the utility that they're struggling with. It might be that presence that's coming out from Deathrow offside time and time again that they are struggling with.
And that was a lot of boxes that they ticked, so they're definitely, as we would say in Dutch, geschikt. It is still a 4-0 lead here by Mnm Gaming. For the people who are wondering, what does geschikt mean? It means that they are
qualified.
Qualified.
Yeah, qualified
exactly.
would be the right translation.
Exactly. It is still a 5 versus 5 situation here. What I would like to see here, Anne, is maybe go for a little bit more of a Latin playstyle here on the side of Deathrow, but do it smart. Don't have a Jax just sprinting in reading room. That's not the right move. I am liking that they are trying to play a little bit more, still a little bit more aggressive. We of course have Fusion and Rykus here on the top floor. However, Rykus falls back to side quite quickly. Not exactly to side, but falls back quite quickly, leaving Fusion all by himself pretty much. If Fusion gets killed here, who's going to refrag him?
No one. They're just looking to waste as much time as possible. And I think this is the adaptation coming out, or the attempt of an adaptation coming out in the sides of Deathrow, as they did indeed call that tactical timeout earlier on. Maybe their answer here is to just have more bodies on this top floor to make it even more difficult for Mnm to clear out those potential roamers and to push them back towards the side, because all they seem to need is a few seconds more. And if you can waste those few seconds more by having presence offside and by keeping onto this roam longer, then that might be what you need. Fusion with the opening kill onto Tyrant. Finally, the opening kill is coming in the hands of Deathrow here, it seems. So now they have this man advantage. time in their side as well, because it's 1 minute and they haven't even fully gained the top 4 control.
Now, and this is what you like to see, right, by Deathrow. Play a little bit more aggressive. However, you need to be in refrag positions. You really do need to be in refrag positions, because you saw that Usus was able to get the kill there. Luckily, there was indeed Rikus in a refrag position, so he was able to pick up the slacks on Usus. It's now a 4 versus 2 situation in the advantage of Deathrow. Can they finally close out the round and take one away from Mnm Gaming? That's a question. They need to find the kills on Nello and Neo. Both the Neo guys.
Yeah, the fact that's really not going to help Mnm here is that they don't have any more softer stability. They have the breaching charges on Neo, though. That's all they have. Nello with 1 kill onto Adriano, trying to level things out operator-wise again. But making those vertical lines aside won't be as easy as you would be able to do so with, for example, a Usus on the sledge still in play. You have to rely on those breaching charges, but Neo doesn't seem to do anything with it. They're just going to force themselves into the side. Nello finds himself in Harry Potter, but gets taken out. Neo now in a 1v3 situation. Will find one player, picks up Jax. Time is running out, 8 seconds left on the clock. Needs to force himself onto the side, but might find Neox here. Neo now walking onto the side, seconds left. It is not enough. Deathrow to win that round on time, and I think what they did right here was that answer to play more aggressively upstairs. Have more body dares, make it even more difficult for Mnm to deal with all those roamers above, and it took them way too much time.
Yeah, because you know that Mnm Gaming is a attacking team that likes to stall. At least that we just seen that happening here on Cafe. So if you waste as much time as possible, then Mnm Gaming has no... Yeah, they don't really have the right papers to go for the execute, right? They need that vertical. They need those vertical angles, and if you don't allow them to get those vertical angles, then you pretty much make sure that Mnm Gaming runs out of time, and so Deathrow did. So I'm hoping to see a similar playstyle coming out here from Deathrow. If we look at the setup, it is definitely a setup to be holding the top floor with. So I do expect that Deathrow will be doing so. However, Mnm Gaming has traded their sledge in for a buck.
Yeah, I think why that might be is, like you said, they bring up a setup for the top floor, so you don't necessarily know what Deathrow's next step is going to be. Will they be top floor? Will they be middle floor? I mean, obviously a buck is a lot more viable coming from downstairs if you want to work on the verticality from downstairs than when you have the sledge, because there's not a lot that you can do from downstairs with sledge. Once again, we see this kind of box being created, a lot of reinforcements coming out above with that Goyo shield in freezer, so Deathrow is looking to hold onto that top floor for as long as possible. And this is exactly what worked out so well for them last time. Having those players offside, making it difficult for Mnm to clear it out properly, really won them a lot of time and won them the round eventually.
Did so indeed. It is now Mnm Gaming that has to find an answer to the adaptive playstyle of Deathrow. It's only been 1 round though, and 1 round doesn't win you the game, because Deathrow is still trailing by 3. It is indeed the buck that's being brought out, and that's a wasted C4, Anne.
Yeah, I think it's Deathrow looking to get that early advantage there with the C4 just tossed up the hatch. But the player on top of the hatch was ready to shoot it down. They've definitely been looking to aim or practice that aim just so they could shoot down those C4s here. Once again, we find Tyrant on a lonely mission downstairs. Seems very worried about a potential flank coming out. So just him being invested into that flank hold by literally face-checking that might have the advantage on Mnm. However, it's Fusion to pick up the kill onto Solotov. Solotov not necessarily being aware of the player around Pixel. Was this not good drone work coming out on the side of Mnm? As they didn't seem to be aware of the player there.
It is indeed Solotov that will fall first, and in the last round, when they were able to win that round, they did also have the opening kill on the side of Deathrow. And oh no, Jax, you just walked in Tyrant's crosshairs. Tyrant about to get a second kill, it looked like. But unfortunately for Adriano, he gets away alive. Tyrant is looking to get them in an advantage. It's now a 4 versus 4 situation. Jax has lost his life, and that means also that I think the only C4 that was still remaining is now off the board, and
Oh, I love that little thing coming out from Tyron. He shot 2 bullets, making sure that he could potentially cover the sound of himself pulling out that nade to use it vertically. However, it didn't do any damage on the player sitting around Maestro bar above. Uses now made a rotation for himself as Nello is looking to get this wall open, so he could potentially have a line of sight into the site. He needs a nade indeed. That one's coming out from Tyron now, successfully clearing out a mute gem here, so the pellets can go off. That creates a line of sight, but
the question is, do they know on the side of the defenders? It seems like they don't really know yet. They're just going to try and force their way down on the red stairs. They have to, however, watch out because there's still a player on the red stairs. That's Neo. Neo now knows that there's quite some pressure. There's quite some pressure coming from those red stairs. Neox with the kill on uses, and that makes it a 4 versus 2 situation. 18 seconds remaining, and it seems like the plan that Mnm Gaming had in mind is not going to work unless Nilo is about to get a kill here. It's Nilo and Neo once again in a clutch situation. If they clutch this, they need to rename Mnm to NMN. It is a 2 versus 2 situation. The Diffuser is down. Can Neo clutch this? Together with Nilo, Diffuser down. The Aruni needs to get this kill. Adriano gets the down on Nilo, and that's all up to Neo now. It's a 1 versus 2 situation. Do they know the position of Neo? Neo is going huge. He gets the down. Can he get the final kill? He has plenty of bullets to work with. Is he going to clutch it? No, it is Fusion with an important double kill, keeping Deathrow alive.
a very important clutch coming out from Fusion indeed, as he's able to pick up 2 kills, seeing an advantage in that situation against the Zofia, where you have all those bullets and you just keep on spraying. But if you keep on spraying, your position is kind of revealed for that matter as well. Another round coming out from Deathrow, and will this be the round where they get that kind of momentum going back into their side? Obviously, it's not ideal to close out your defending half already looking down 2 rounds, but seeing as they just won those last 2 rounds, they must be feeling confident to take this further back and level rounds out. It almost looked as if it was going to go the way of Mnm, but it seems like those players were too spread out to potentially deal with the side retake coming out from the players of Deathrow.
It is a clash and a mirror that's being brought here by Mnm. Why can Mnm now pick defensive operators? Because we've reached the halftime point. It is 4-2, so we've seen 6 rounds. So now Mnm gets to defend. They pick the top floor, Bar Cocktail, to defend, to start off upon. Any surprises there, Em?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, maybe a little bit since it took Deathrow 4 rounds or 3 rounds successfully to get towards Bar, and Mnm seems to pick it first. However, they have that bulletproof in piano. They have a clash to come out as well. So a lot of area denial, it seems to be, on the side of Mnm. One of the players I'd like to see come out on the side of Deathrow is a Nomad. A lot of flank watch potential coming out, so they don't have to put those players into physical or face-to-face flank watch as they did on the side of Mnm, but you have that kind of utility. Put one on the red stairs, put one on the white stairs, and you've got your stairs all the way up to the top floor covered.
I like the mirror being played here in combination with the clash, because you'll see that Deathrow will try and do their best to clear those, to clear the mirror and the mirror window. It will, however, be quite challenging because there's, of course, a mute in play as well, and being uses, not really having the game of his life quite yet. It is, however, Nello stepping up for his team, together with Solotov, a player that we've seen. I think the last time Mnm played, it was... I already almost got used to the new name that I said, the NMN, the Nello and Neo show. But it is Solotov currently stepping up to the plate for his team.
Yeah, he's found himself being entered death twice so far, but the rounds that he does manage to stay alive a little bit longer are the rounds that he has that real potential and does really indeed step up for his team. Players of Deathrow now joining out piano, finding out about the bulletproof camera and this clash just being an annoyance around Pixel really, and they have to put some utility into dealing with her. However, I must imagine that there's probably some ADSs all the way around this clash to protect her from being naded. If she steps back though in the wrong way, there might be a player on top white window taking care of her. However, there's also users on top white stairs who might go for a swing on top white window, as there is no player of Deathrow currently just holding that, and that means that the clash gets to retreat from piano safely.
Yeah, what I like from Deathrow is that they have made sure that that clash has to retreat all the way back. Clash was trying to win as much time as possible in that pixel corner, but due to the Nomad being brought, she can no longer play there, of course, unless they somehow find a way to get rid of the air jab. You see, however, that for Deathrow, it's near impossible to get into Cigar right now. Of course, you have Solotov playing here quite aggressively, so you always have to watch out for him. It is, of course, a player that likes to hit his shots. Also, can you make use of the mirror window that's in position there. However, Adriano with the opening kill here for Deathrow, and that's a very expensive one. You said Solotov died twice already as the opening death. Make that now 3 times.
That is very unfortunate. Assault have all these lines aside to potentially play around, and a mirror window to keep the control of Piano out of the hands of Deathrow for very long. Now the players of Deathrow, especially the block, are still very worried about this mirror window, or at least about Freezer, as there is still a mirror window. But look at this, Jax has found himself on the side. Fusion with the kill, Rikers as well. And now Jax doesn't have to clear one. However, finds the last player downstairs, who was speedily coming back to side. Very worried about players of Deathrow being on side. And all of a sudden they were on side. And this is a very solid round coming out from them on their first attack.
Definitely a solid round coming out from Deathrow, and that makes 3 rounds in a row here in the advantage of Deathrow. First attacking round goes their way. We now see that Mnm Gaming is opting for that kitchen service, kitchen cooking, keeping that clash in play. However, we will now see the caster's curse, and that is the question. The Echo, however, is also being brought out, and indeed, we do see the caster's curse. That Echo being 6-picked. To Cade.
Ooh, this might be a better 6-pick coming out for Mnm, however, if they 6-pick to the Hibana on the side of Deathrow as well. Hibana obviously might work on a few spots on a wall where a Mujammer is, but it won't work on a wall where you have an Electroclaw on. So this 6-pick coming out from Mnm might be working out really well for them, as they get to keep those walls closed for a longer period of time. There's obviously a vent in kitchen, and there are ways to put that Electroclaw in such a way you can't open up that wall. But however, it seems that Mnm might not even want to have that wall fully closed, as they currently have a rotate, so looking like an active bakery defense coming out from their side. I think that Mnm might go and play this one very horizontally, seeing that they also have the clash in play, and that, no, not the clash in play anymore, but that really widespread roam also around bakery and potentially around VIP as well.
I like those echo drones.
Frisbees.
Will it work? Will it work?
Oh, it's really smart to hide them right there, though. If you get them in there, that
exactly.
is.
It takes him quite some time, and he gives up. He says, you know what? I'm not going to try and hide them in the oven anymore. Oh, we see quite some players on the side of Deathrow stacking up here next to the bakery. Does that mean that they might just go in for a quick push? And that could very well be the case. They are taking bakery control straight away. There was a rotate. That rotate is no longer because that wall has been reinforced. But that's a lot of utility wasted on the side of Mnm Gaming here, and I'm questioning the call.
Farkas has a drone on that prep wall, on the rotate around the prep wall, so gets a lot of information around the site. A good read coming out from Mnm as they decided to close off that bakery rotate that they had, so denying that free entry into the site for the players of Deathrow. And now they seem to have calmed down just a little bit. That rush not being pushed through. This Tyrant finds himself on the middle floor here, might attempt a stare down battle together with Neox, and more information gathering coming out on the side of Deathrow as they decided to take this round a little bit slower than that initial rush that was coming in.
They do indeed. They realize that they need to take top control, of course. They have to reckon that there's still a Tyrant up there. That same Tyrant is now falling slightly back towards the white stairs, making a lot of sense. However, he says, you know what? Let me just have a look. Can I still go up? Then here's probably that the Yana is there, gets droned out a little bit. So that means that it looks like the gentlemen on the side of Deathrow now have top control and can slowly start pushing out the players on the side of Mnm Gaming away from their site.
Ah, look at Fusion. He's just holding down that kitchen window, waiting for any players on the side of Mnm to step by it, unknowingly what's about to happen as he finds the first kill onto Solotov there. Puts at the flashbang to get some more information on the side, but no players of Mnm just peeking for that refrag just yet. Zeus is now blinded out, retreating himself further into the side. Tyron with the refrag onto Rikus. We're back to a 4-4 position now, but Tyron has to go back towards the side. Finds himself in VIP, he sees that the hatch is open, so feels somewhat pressure from above. There's still a lot of self-destruction coming out on the side of Deathrow, and it seems that there's only one pre-placed C4 and one C4 left in the pockets of Nello.
He knows that he's there.
Here.
Adriano knows that Neo is laying over there and is probably calling for a nade to be tossed out, but there's no more nades in play, so maybe you can use your air jabs if you still have those. However, it's Tyrant and uses that kill Neox and Jackson. Now it's Fusion and Adriano who have to clutch this up. Make that Fusion in on his own because it's a 1 versus 4 situation. Fusion does get 1 for the stats, but stats don't matter if you lose the game. It is Mnm Gaming leading 5-3.
I like this initial attack that was coming out from Deathrow because it really took them about 10 seconds to gain the control over Bakery. However, when they saw that rotate being closed, they kind of saw their opportunities for that quick push into the side fading away. And then you just had that player on the Nomad waiting and sitting on the kitchen window in prep. But if you have the player sitting there and if you have them just passively holding those lines of sight, that is one less player that you can invest into taking that top 4 control. Looking at the side of Mnm, there were quite some players still above. Tyrant was just being an annoyance around that 90 hallway, really. Waiting for players to join him out, waiting for flashbangs and all that utility being invested into pushing him away there. But having that player solemnly watching the kitchen window eliminates one opportunity for a player to be invested into taking top 4 control, roaming out. They did get those vertical lines of sight, but they weren't able to capitalize on those vertical lines of sight.
It is Mnm Gaming who finally was able to kind of stop Deathrow in their threats, because let's not forget that Deathrow was on a tier. They won a total of 3 rounds in a row until Mnm Gaming said, wait a second, we're not having it. We're definitely not having it. What I like here on the side of Mnm Gaming is that there were, I think I counted all 4 out of 5 players who are on the top floor helping up with the setup. So this is a top floor. Of course, we know that, you know, Reading Room is a site in which top floor presence is very important. But that's a lot of utility, and let's hope that they don't make the same mistake as earlier, because they had a lot of utility in Laundry as well, but forfeited that rather quickly.
Ooh, good pre-fire coming out from Rikus. However, there wasn't a player around that new hatch to be picked up quite easily. Rotate now coming towards the top red, and Deathrow is looking to gain that top 4 control quite quickly. Already have Fusion now putting that air jab on top of the red stairs, so if a player comes to flank them, they will be aware of that one, and the player on that is flanking might fall back on their bomb, but Solotov to pick up the opening kill onto Jax. That is a sledge off the board, and so much self-destructibility gone now. Looking at this site, you want to get that top 4 control, you want to make those lines of sight around Cocktail, and losing your sledge this early into the round makes that so much more difficult. Of course, they still have the buck to rely on, but you miss out on a set of nades that could be so viable to get that top 4 control.
Again, especially to clear those Goyo shields, of course, an extra set of nades can be quite useful. We see that Neo is on cam here and can call that there's quite some players in shop currently on the side of Deathrow. They are trying to take it from the west side, as we call it. You can see a little compass in the middle, in the bottom middle of your screen. West side is also called the piano room and the cocktail lounge. Excuse me, the shop.
Indeed, there's just 2 players right now looking to get that control over Freezer, as Nomad's already found herself around the long bar trying to deal with Neo, but Neo doesn't want to have to do anything with that, so decides to drop back to the side. Still quite some players of Mnm downstairs looking to go for a potential flank. Tolotov taking a lot of damage as Rikus tries to eliminate him, but not being successful so far. 53 seconds left on the clock. The time still leaning more towards the side of Mnm. 45 seconds now. Tyrant's still downstairs, so to take even more damage. Also, Riker seems to take some damage from those Zeps and is now eliminated by users. So the advantage definitely in the hands of Mnm.
Yes, it is, however, Neox that can do a little bit of damage back by killing Solotov. However, they still have to watch out for example, a Tyrant that's still somewhere at the bottom floor. However, Fusion about to go into a standoff does get killed by users. Now it's up to Neox and Adriano. Neox will be sandwiched just shortly, you would say. However, Adriano completely misses that there's still a player, Tyrant, George Spiller. And it is Maestro getting the last kill and giving Mnm Gaming the first map point.
Fusion, how do you lose that? You had the peekers advantage there. You had a player basically forcing to have to look upstairs because there was some vertical work going on there as well. There should have been a call that there is a player right underneath those vertical lines so that you could put that pressure on the player. We did see the swing coming out from Fusion, but he just loses the gunfight to a player that had to look at two different sides at the same time. You can't be losing your gunfights like that if you find yourself on the side of Deathrow, because now you're looking at a map disadvantage. However, no need to panic, I guess, just yet, for the side of Deathrow, because this is, in the end, Mnm's map pick. If you look at the predictions, I mean, our colleagues pointed it out earlier, they were expecting the map vote or the social vote to go heavily in the way of Mnm. It wasn't that heavily, only about 55% if I remember it correctly. But Mnm needs to be winning this map. People are expecting Mnm to win this map, and look at that. What do I see coming out from Nello? He's got the pulse with a shotgun.
Yes, they are playing on the mining site, and that's a very interesting site, and because look at all these vertical angles that you can create. It is almost completely destructive from the top floor, so it will be very important for the likes of Mnm to hold that top floor. As you can see, they are prepping that top floor, going to try and do their best to indeed hold it, but that Nilo can throw a little bit of a curveball to Deathrow. It is Useless with a oh no!
How does that happen?
No way! Useless with a double spawn pick.
Oh my goodness, he just jumped out the window there.
Jumped
picks
out
up
of the window.
Two players, picks up Rikers with the nades, picks up Buck with so much self-destructibility. That is really unfortunate and will definitely be cutting Deathrow off guard. Now facing down on a map point with two operators in a disadvantage. That is really not how you want to start your round. And the worst thing is that Useless gets to live another day as well. On a slither of HP, about 10 I reckon, but still gets to engage into another gunfight if he feels like that. Neo, however, is taking a lot of damage as well, but the advantage is definitely in the hands. Look at Nilo, he's going for that pulse scanner. Looks to get a spicy run out or a spicy C4 potentially from underneath. So players of Deathrow are now starting to work on these hatches.
It is a huge mental blow that Adriano, Breakus and their friends on Deathrow have to deal with by being picked off so quickly. They also didn't have one of their best games. Who did have quite a good game is Fusion, but now also he's being sent towards the drone duty. He does get picked off here, and now it's a 2 versus 5 situation. I think that deep inside Deathrow have their mind made up and going towards the second map. Neox will try to do a little bit of damage back, however takes quite some damage himself and now has to deal with a quite aggressive Solotov. Solotov will end things for Neox, take him out of his misery, and it's now Jax who will fall to Tyrant. It is Mnm Gaming winning their first map, also the map pick here. And with that, Anne, we are going to a second map shortly.
I love to see this. The MVP coming out on Nello with the pulse shotgun. That must be a sneer towards the the attackers in this case. Like, oh, we managed to win this. I managed to get MVP with a pulse shotgun as well. The confidence just sparks of the players from Mnm, especially in that last round. You see users going for a jump out, getting two players with that exact spawn peak or spawn run out, as we would say better. And then there's no opportunity for a refrag whatsoever. Even if that 1-2 final player died above to the shotgun around bathroom, no refrag potential whatsoever. It seems like Deathrow already felt lost in that last round, and I really hope they get that mental back together for their second map.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it today as well, right? right? Hellraisers did get a huge mental blow, and they were able to recover from it. The big difference, however, is that on the side of, I mean, you know, of course, Deathrow has quite some experienced players as well. But you know, with a player such as like a Mission on your team being Hellraisers, you know that you can overcome such huge mental blows. The question is, will Deathrow be able to overcome a huge mental blow? The entire French community is rooting for them. I mean, you know, they are the last French team standing, and we had quite some French teams to begin with.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So all is left in their hands here, Deathrow, to looking to get it back to a 1-1 map. But I definitely think that our analysts have something to say about this map and what made Mnm be victorious out of this one here. It obviously was their map pick, so nothing all lost just yet for Deathrow. But I'm very curious to hear what our analysts think of that last played map.
Yeah, and before we go to that second map, I do have to say sorry. We're going to a commercial before you get to see our beautiful analysts.